Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were discussing Adrian Griffin being fired as the Milwaukee Bucks head coach, and now we're going to dive into Pete Carroll, who is making behind-the-scenes push for the LA Chargers job. But first, I wanted to remind you guys that if you like the show and you want to send us a comment, please remember that you can send tips and donations to the link streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. But let's dive into Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is making behind-the-scenes push for the LA Chargers coaching job. Pete Carroll was a former Seattle Hawks head coach.
Seahawks, yes.
Seahawks, yeah, sorry.
Yes.
The Seahawks announced earlier this month that Carroll was out as head coach after 14 seasons, 10 playoff appearances, and 1 Super Bowl title. However, the Seahawks have also revealed at the time that Carroll would remain with the franchise in an unspecified advisory role moving forward. So, however, like we discussed yesterday, Jim Harbaugh is in LA currently interviewing for the Chargers head coach position. But people are saying that Pete Carroll also really, really wants this job. However, the Chargers have interviewed several candidates, and Carroll is actually not one of them. So,
Oh, okay. So he didn't even get it. He hasn't even gotten an interview then.
I don't know if he. It said he didn't get
Doesn't see.
a second interview, so I don't know if he
Okay.
interviewed with them once before.
And they
But
might have talked to him, or what they're saying is pretty much behind the scenes that Pete Carroll is very interested in that job. Um, First off, I think most of the coaches are going to want that LA Chargers job. You have a situation where you have Justin Herbert, you have your franchise quarterback. The hardest position to fill is that franchise quarterback. And that's the one thing that the Chargers have. Um, Pretty much the way it sounds and what way everything looks, that Chargers job is pretty much Jim Harbaugh's for the taking, as long as he wants it. And I kind of feel like it comes down to does Jim Harbaugh want to stay in Michigan, or does he want that Chargers job? That's the way it sounds. Now, speaking of Pete Carroll, I was a little surprised that they went away from Pete Carroll. Yes, Pete Carroll is an older coach, but Pete Carroll is a young 70 something. I mean, I know it sounds funny saying he's a young 70, but I just think about this year watching Pete Carroll in practice, and he's rolling out, he's throwing passes, he's running around. Listen, Pete Carroll is in better shape than I am. I mean, fit, lively. He's been with the franchise, you said 14 years, 10 years of that making the playoffs. He almost made the playoffs this year. I was surprised that they went away from him. Yes, they did announce that he was going to be staying with the organization. And I think that's kind of what the Seahawks organization, he has meant so much to the Seattle community. He's meant so much to that team. I think they kind of want him to stay there. But Pete Carroll, I think he feels like he has a lot more coaching left in him. And this particular case, I agree. Where I look at Bill Belichick. Yes, Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all times, best record, as long as he has Tom Brady. I'm going to say that much. But you look at Pete Carroll, and I say young 70. When I look at, it's just rude to say, crusty, old, grumpy Bill Belichick, I feel like the game has passed him by a little bit. teams are going very strong toward the offensive coordinators, and I feel like uh, the new NFL has kind of started to move past Bill Belichick, and he's kind of old school. I don't feel that way with uh, with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, when he was having the problem with Russell Wilson, and that whole Russ needs to cook, and that sounds kind of funny now considering everything that's happened with Russell Wilson. He made the adjustment and he tried to make it so that Russell Wilson could have more freedom in the offense. When Russell Wilson left, to go out, get Geno Smith, and be able to tailor the offense around Geno Smith and become successful with it. Like I said, they were very close to being a contender in a very tough division where you got to play the 49ers twice. You got to play the Rams twice. Granted, you do get those Cardinals, which makes life a little bit easier, but that is a very tough division and came very close to making it. You look at Pete Carroll and his history, long history with Seattle, a great history in college football. Uh, I think the Chargers definitely could do worse. If I'm trying to get uh, Jim Harbaugh and I can't get Jim Harbaugh or Vrabel or someone like that, I would run to Pete Carroll. So I don't think it's that crazy to go for Pete Carroll at all. Anything else you want to add with that, as you were saying?
Um, I was thinking that because he is in his 70s, that maybe that is not why he's being considered. Even though you said that, he's a young 70, how many more years does he have left in him before he's going to retire? So maybe that is one of the reasons why they're not considering him for the job, but
I
also
would agree. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but
Also,
also
what?
also with Jim Harbaugh, I mean, he's seems like he would be a good fit, and I think he's probably going to take that job. So,
Uh,
which Tate
that
is
one always
upset
has.
about.
Okay. First off, what you're saying about Pete Carroll being older. If you follow Pete and you've seen him, he is not slowing up. He does not seem he's not an old man. He's fit, he's energetic, he can still relate to the players. I think he relates to the players better than a lot of the young coaches do. So yes, but taking kind of in account what you're saying, if you're an organization and you're saying, listen, we have Justin Herbert for the next decade, and you're saying, I want to team up my coach with my decade uh, long quarterback, taking in a 70-year-old guy may not be the smartest decision. And with that one, I totally agree with you on that one. Audience, we're not trying to age discriminate, but
No,
we're talking about a situation where you're looking at wanting to partner your quarterback up with a guy, your quarterback who, with the way science has gone, the way Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady has gone, where Justin Herbert could easily play 10, 15 years. So if you go on a run, if you go on a Patriot type run, you go on a Kansas City Chiefs type run, a younger quarterback is the way to go. And sorry if it came down to me and Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, Vrabel, any of the other coaches out there, it's a no-brainer. If Jim Harbaugh says yes to going to the Chargers, you sign him to a big contract, a long contract, uh, that's going to partner you and your quarterback up for a decade plus. Now, with that caveat, when you start thinking about Jim Harbaugh, there is a no question about Jim Harbaugh is the most equipped quarterback to turn the Chargers around. And you look at it and you say, man, Harbaugh has won everywhere. San Diego State, Stanford University, uh, the San Francisco 49ers, the Michigan Wolverines, national champion. It's proven. The proof's in the pudding as far as will Harbaugh succeed. I have no doubt Jim Harbaugh will succeed. But if you look at Jim Harbaugh's history, I'm a huge Harbaugh fan. But the history shows that Jim Harbaugh wears owners a little thin, wears the powers that be out after a while. Eventually, it just seems like, and everything that I'm hearing, it seems like after a while, the ownership group at the 49ers, they kind of wanted him gone. There are some rumblings that there are some people within the University of Michigan that wants him gone, that they're split. There's a group that's like, we want Harbaugh to be here forever. And then there's another group which may be smaller, but there is a group out there that is saying, yes, we would be more than happy. I think it's time. We have our national championship. We've been dealing with this guy. Is it worth dealing with this guy much longer? Maybe it's time to make a change. That seems to happen everywhere Harbaugh goes. And maybe even with the Chargers, Harbaugh goes there. But if that happens, maybe you're still not looking at a decade and a half long tenure with Jim Harbaugh. And I don't know if you knew about that, but that is something that has been said about Harbaugh numerous places.
Well,
Oh.
it's
See,
been
I had
said.
a loss for words. I left you speechless.
Going back to Pete Carroll, it's been said that he really, really wants this job. Like, he has always said that he wants to work for the Chargers. Snoop
It's a
Dogg,
perfect fit.
yeah, Snoop Dogg commented on it, who apparently is a friend of Pete
Yes.
Carroll. Snoop Dogg said that's what he wanted, but I don't know if they want him. So I guess it comes down to
Oh,
if Jim Harbaugh takes the job. However, they haven't had a second interview with him, so I don't know if they're even really considering him at all. So,
I'm going to comment on what you said about Snoop Dogg, and it kind of reminded me. Pete Carroll is former USC Trojans coach, national champion, is a legend in the Los Angeles market. He is loved in that Los Angeles market, hence the reason why Snoop Dogg and him are friends. Um, that would be a really nice homecoming to bring the legend back home to the Los Angeles market. I think that would be, if you don't get Harbaugh, I think that would be great for the community. The Chargers are an organization that is an organization without a home. Yes, they are the Los Angeles Chargers, but they're not really loved in Los Angeles. It's a Laker town. It's a Rams town. It's a USC Trojans town. It's, might I even say, I mean, it's a Dodgers town. They're behind the Clippers when it comes to cachet in the Los Angeles market. There's a long way for them to go. And I think that's a good fit, bringing in a Pete Carroll, a guy that is loved in that market, uh, people that would love to see him come home. And so I think it's a good move. So
well, I guess we'll have to wait and see if Jim Harbaugh is going to take the job or not.
though, I'm surprised that it hasn't been announced. It has to be announced. The playoff games are about to happen. So I'm predicting by Monday, either he's going to be with Michigan or with the Chargers no later than Monday. That's my prediction.
Alrighty, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Um, We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be discussing the WWE Raw and its move to Netflix.